everyone and welcome back to my YouTube channel.
Sup?
So, the last Drunken Explain that we did together, it got a little bit messy. So today, we're keeping it sophisticated. We've got some red wine, got a lovely Malbec. Although, in reality, we probably should have got a French red, like a Bordeaux or something.
They did have a Bordeaux, but I didn't get it.
That's alright, I like a Malbec. Malbec is my red of choice. Is it your red of choice?
It is indeed.
But the reason we probably should have got a Bordeaux is because today I am drunken explaining to Josh Les Miserables.
Yes.
A staple of the musical theatre canon. Josh, you've not seen Les Mis at all, have you?
I have not seen Les Miserables
Okay.
either on stage or screen.
Okay.
Your Honour.
I've seen Les Mis once on stage. When I was 16, my boyfriend of the time took me for our 6th-month anniversary.
Aww.
Which when you're 16 is like freaking forever. And
Yeah.
I've watched the film like a handful of times, but not in at least, I want to say, 5 years. And I deliberately did not refresh my memory of this because I thought it would be funnier. Yeah, that's what we're doing. I'm going to explain Les Mis to Josh. If you're down for hijinks and shenanigans, keep on watching.
And don't forget to like and subscribe.
Josh will also be doing a Drunken Explain on his channel, explaining
I will be
something
explaining
about ghosts.
The Gaunt's Ghosts book series by Dan Abnett.
Yeah, so after you've watched this, go and check out his channel.
Yeah,
He doesn't need the help because he's nearly at 1,000 subscribers, but if you want to help him out, please do.
I do like people who are MT orientated watching my videos just because a lot of them's got the fuck is this and it's great.
So, Josh, what do you know about Les Mis?
I know that there is something about a barricade. I know Andrew Lloyd Webber wrote it, and he's been leaning on it. He didn't, did he?
No.
No, he didn't.
No, he didn't.
No, he didn't.
He
No.
didn't write it at all.
He did Phantom, didn't he?
Yeah, he
Yeah,
did.
he did. That's not going in the video.
That is going in the video.
Absolutely
It is
not going in the video.
absolutely going in the video.
No, Cameron McIntosh has been banking checks from it since forever.
That is true.
And now he needs it far more than it needs him. And what else do I know about Les Mis? People sing. They ask you if you can hear something about a song, something about angry men. I know that much.
Yeah.
There was a film which people didn't like that came out about it.
It was mixed.
Okay.
The film was kind of like blending the massive realism that's been like the trend in films since kind of the death of the movie musical. Lindsay Ellis has a great video on this, I'll link it. And it used live singing, which is something that usually you record the singing and then you play it during
Yeah,
the takes, whereas they just recorded it all
I hate
live.
La La Land. I didn't see you over there.
It was a bit of a weird stylistic choice, I think. For Les Mis, it works better because Les Mis isn't tits and teeth. And
Yeah, well, none of them have any teeth, do they? It's like 19th century
some of them
France.
have teeth.
Yeah, but...
Anne Hathaway doesn't have teeth by the end, but that's fine, we'll get into it.
Wait, what?
Apart from thinking Andrew Lloyd Webber wrote it, that was all quite accurate,
Thank
actually.
you. And it doesn't take place in that French Revolution, it takes place in another one.
Correct! Well done. Strap in, because this is going to be long. So, we start off in France. In fact, the whole
No.
thing... Yeah, no, it's France. Mind blown. Yeah. In some kind of jail penitentiary situation.
Cool.
The two main people that you need to know about, whose names I always get confused because they've got J's in them, are Javert. He's a police dude. He's like the cop on the case. And then you've got Jean Valjean, who is a dude who stole some bread one time. And now he's spending 20 years in prison.
For stealing... Oh, I know. It's
Yeah,
France.
it's like the
France.
1700s. It's I need to find the meme that I'm gonna superimpose. I think it was when the film came out when someone had done a picture of, in one of the songs, the lyric is like, my name is Jean Valjean, and he's like, and I'm Javert, but someone changed it to, my name is Jean Valswan, and I'm Javert. There you go. And I'm Javert. It's great. So basically, yeah, so back to the story. So Valjean is in prison for stealing a loaf of bread. Javert comes up and is like, mate, you can now go on parole. Your time's up.
Oh, great.
Um,
Thanks.
Which one is it? Jean Valjean.
I don't know, you're explaining this to me.
I get them confused
I don't know
all
who
the
these
time.
people are.
So Jean
One's a
Valjean.
swan, one's a bear. The bear stole some bread or something.
No, the bear didn't steal bread. That's the point. The
wait.
swan stole the bread.
Hang on, okay, so we're basically entrapping swans, because like, you know, you're on your balcony, and you throw some bread out, and you're expecting like the ducks and the geese and whatever, and then the swan takes it, nah mate, it's
Yeah,
20,
and it's like, no, 20 years
20
in
years for
prison.
you, swan.
Another thing that happens,
Fucking racist society, isn't it?
also at some point, that we see Valjean being like hench and strong. It becomes important later. I think he lifts a thing off a dude. I can't remember.
So we've got an incredibly strong swan
Yes.
that has arms.
I shouldn't have shown you the meme, but I
I
just...
did warn you.
Valjean is like, sweet, got my parole papers. He goes out into the world, but no one's gonna hire him because he's a criminal. He comes across some vicar, preacher, pastor, priest guy, who in the film is Colm Wilkinson for all of you MT stands out there. He's like, mate, come in. We've got bread and food and shit. Come and sleep and eat some food with my wife. And Valjean is like, hey, sweet, this is Kushti. You guys have got some really sweet silver candelabras. I'm just gonna nick those and all your cutlery because
Jesus.
I'm a vagabond.
Thief.
But also, he can't get a job. See, this is what happens when people don't have jobs, they resort to crime because poverty is the root of all evil. So,
I mean, also he's a swan. How did he get all the
he has a bag.
But again, he's a swan. He has wings, not opposable. How does he like pick up the candelabra and stuff with his like majestic talons or something?
Why?
I think you're gonna have to start a little tally in the corner of like the swan tally.
Okay, I made a mistake. He steals all of their silverware, and
Okay.
the Popo rock up for I don't know why. They just happen to be there. It's kind of like in Grand Theft Auto, where you punch someone and the policeman just happens to be there, and then all of a sudden you've got
Oh.
6 stars and the armies are coming after you.
Yeah.
So the police rock up and they're like, mate, you've definitely stolen these candelabras. They get Colm Wilkinson and he's like, dude, what's your problem? They're like, he stole this stuff from you. And he's like, no, man, he's my friend. They're a gift. I gave him the candelabras and the silverware. It's like, it's fine.
Oh,
We're
he's
just
a donkey.
chilling. Stop it. Can you please stop it? Because we're not going to get through. This is going to take us like 3 hours if you carry on.
But you're gonna love it later on.
No. As in, this is a really long musical and it's very plot dense. If you want to
Oh.
get to the end, you need to stop.
Because that plot dense, how has it lasted this time? Audiences don't normally like plot dense shows.
Because all of the exposition is done in like snippets of song. Vicar goes back to bed and Jean Valjean has an existential crisis and he's like, oh my god, I have a second chance. Like, I completely fecked over this dude and he's been nice to me. I'm gonna start a new life. Rips up his parole papers and is like, another story will begin.
What, did you ruffle the parole papers?
Because with his parole papers, he's not going to be able to start his new life. Because he's only going to be limited to the kind of work he can do, like odd jobs. He won't be able to actually make the most of his new chance because he'll keep on having the stain of his conviction.
So he's like, I spent 20 years in prison, and now I'm free. So the first thing I'm going to do is commit crimes. And now I got away with that. The next thing we'll do is commit more crimes.
No, he's not going to commit crime. He's not becoming like a mob boss. This is not The Sopranos. Jump forward to some point in time in the future.
No more than 7 years, because that's the life expectancy of a swan.
Oh, for fuck's sake.
Like and subscribe.
I don't think we're in Paris, but we're in a town. It could be Toulouse, it could be New Orleans. Not New Orleans, that's in America.
Orleans.
It could be Orleans. Who knows where they are? They could be anywhere in France.
Okay, cool.
But they're somewhere in France. There's loads of poor people and they're singing, at the end of the day, life is shit. Zoom in onto a factory. We've got Fantine. Fantine is a chick just trying to pay her way. Mademoiselle Plot Convenience, who's just a bitchy woman at the factory, takes a letter that Fantine has and is like, oh my god, you've got an illegitimate daughter living out of town and you've got to send money home to her. Ooh, scandal. The manager, typical management stuff is like, hey, so you pretend that you can't like fuck me, but you've got this illegitimate daughter, you're fired.
Yeah, very typical middle manager. I worked for someone like that once.
So she gets thrown out of the factory And it's the factory that Jean Valsouan now owns. He's now the mayor of wherever this is in France.
Wow,
And
that's
he
quite a jump, isn't it?
It's a big gap. And he owns the factory.
Decades then, surely.
Yeah, he, I think, sees the ruckus but doesn't do anything, so Fantine is really sad. Well, in the film, she doesn't sing it yet, but in the show, she then sings I Dream a Dream when she's just
Fantine
gets...
die?
Not yet, she doesn't.
Okay, because I can't remember if like, she dies in the show or not.
Yeah, she does, but like, we've got a while till then, spoilers. At some point, Javert has like come into the town and is chatting to Valjean as the mayor but doesn't recognize him. Then someone gets
I mean, you think you'd recognise a swan that he was imprisoning.
At some point, someone in the street gets a...
Hand.
No, a thing that you drive.
Brains.
No! A cart. A cart falls on a dude, and Jean Valsouan, because he's hench, lifts up the cart off the man, and Javert is like, I knew someone who was that hench once.
Hang on, so...
I haven't seen him in years.
Wait, so you lift someone up off a car? I mean...
No, he lifts the cart off a person.
Okay, yeah, I figured that. So he lifts the car off a person, so going, there's only one strong person in all of, not medieval
Literally.
France, 19th century France.
It's not 19th century, it's like 18th century. Meanwhile, Fantine is having a bad time. She's selling her hair, she's selling her teeth if you're Tom Hooper. She's becoming a prostitute. Life is bad. She comes across Valsouan in the street and is like, you were there and turned aside. I'm not singing,
Not tonight.
Not tonight.
Plus, she sings for money. She doesn't do it for free. So if you want...
It's like prostitution for your voice. Yeah, so she meets Valsouan in the street. She's like, you've ruined my life. He's like, what can I do to help? Let's take her to hospital. I don't know when, but at some point, Fantine's not here at this point, but Javert goes to Valsouan and is like, oh, we've found prisoner 24601, who is Valjean. He's going to be tried for breaking his parole and he's going to be sent back to prison where he belongs because he doesn't realize that the mayor is the dude. Valsouan has another existential crisis where he's like, oh, do I let this dude take the rap for me? So he marches into the trial and he's like, who am I? 24601! And it's like right in his face. Because Tom Hooper. And everyone's like, oh my god, he's 24601, he's Jean Valjean, oh my god, he's the dude, not this guy,
So no one in the however many years made the...
No, everyone's mind's blown in the courtroom. He immediately goes to the hospital where Fantine is, and Fantine is dying, and she's like, dude, you gotta go help my daughter. She's like,
So
poor
just
and
so we're
she needs
clear,
help.
rather than like, giving the woman her job back or like, doing it.
Well no, because she's dying of prostitution.
Yeah, but I know like before that though. So he didn't think to like just pay for her medical expenses and just move her.
I think he is doing that, but she's too far gone. The prostitution's like in her brain. I don't know.
The prostitution isn't a disease, Michaela. Jesus Christ,
all right.
Boris Benison.
I just assumed that it was like syphilis or it's probably TB because everyone died of TB in those days, didn't
Yeah,
they?
that's very
She's probably
sad.
got consumption. She's got something bad.
She got that consumption she does.
It's not the potato famine.
So famine was not that far away from this point though, let's be honest.
Yeah, but they're in France. They don't have potatoes. They have escargot. She's like, find my daughter. He's like, got your chick. We'll get that done. She's like, great, and dies. So Valjean is like, right, I've got to go to wherever Cosette is, somewhere else in France, and get this child. And Valjean comes in, and the boss music plays. It's like it's the first of many boss fights. No, Javert is a bear.
Yeah, no,
He doesn't fly.
he said Valsouan comes in after.
No, Valsouan is already there.
Okay, cool. And then the bear just
And then the
comes
bear
in.
comes in
Okay, cool.
to make the initial incision. So Javert walks in, boss music plays, because they're gonna have the first of many showdowns. Valjean is like, me, there's a suffering child, I've messed up, I just need to get this kid to safety and then it's fine, I'll go to prison, whatever, just let me help the kid. And then Valjean is like, men like you can never change. And then Valjean is like, fine, do you want me to beat your ass? I'll beat your ass. So he gets away. Cut to somewhere else in France and there's the tiny child. She's poor and she's sad.
Cool.
And she lives with the Thénardiers. And the Thénardiers are awful, awful people. They sing a song called Master of the House where they basically sing about how they're awful people, but hey, it's fun because it's Master of the House. Na 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 na.
Well.
They also have their own daughter called Eponine, who comes back later. Thénardiers are like, go get some water from the well. Cosette is, oh, the kid's called Cosette, by the way. Cosette is like, okay, I'm gonna go get some water from the well because you guys hate me and I'm dressed in rags. And then Jean Valjean is there and is like, hey, are you Cosette? And she's like, yeah, I am. And he's like, I don't have any sweets, but do you want to get in my van? Not really.
Oh my god. And that's how the Swan went to prison.
It's not
went
that
back
kind
to
of
prison.
It's not that kind of
even
setup.
longer this time.
It's not that kind of setup.
And then you turn to the bear and go, you know what, mate, maybe you were right this whole time. So he skips parole, changes his identity, somehow becomes mayor, somehow owns a factory, then says, I'm this guy, doesn't go back to prison, lets this woman die, and then...
He doesn't let her die! She's beyond saving!
Okay, fine, but in any case, and then he manages to track down this daughter, and then say, by the way, do you wanna get in my van?
He doesn't say, get in my van. What he does say is, who
this
looks
is
after you?
This is literally the most dangerous swan that's ever lived.
What he does say is, who looks after you? And she takes him back to the Thénardiers. I think he basically pays them off and is like, hey, this kid is costing you money. I'll just give you some money and I can be the guardian of the child and you don't have to worry about her ever again. Because this is back in the day where you could just buy children.
Oh right, Child Protection Services was
non-existent.
Was a glint in Roundtree's eye at this point.
So he takes Cosette and becomes her adoptive father, and she knows love and happiness for the first time in her life, and it's wonderful. Fast forward to sometime whenever the July Revolution was, because that is the revolution that is in the musical, not the French Revolution where they cut off King Louis's head.
1801, 1803 maybe?
Oh, is it the 1800s?
Yeah, by this point it's the 1800s because the first the coalition wars were in full swing by the time, starting when Louis was executed.
I think it's just the July Revolution.
July Revolution. I think July Revolution was like 1803, 1804 sort of time.
So it's then.
Okay, cool.
And we're in Paris now. Definitely in Paris. And we meet Gavroche, who gives us some expositional singing about the history.
His name only sounds like an STI.
Gavroche doesn't sound like an STI. It sounds like some kind of pastry. Gonorrhea, but baked. We're in Paris, we meet Gavroche. He gives us some expositional singing about the history of France from the death of Louis XVI. We see Marius and Enjolras. Enjolras is like, burn it to the ground, we're gonna start a revolution, we're gonna smash that system.
Another revolution.
Another one, the July one, in fact.
And this one's gonna work out so much better than the last two.
And Marius is like your bourgeois socialist. He's just like, yes, but
and they named him
in The Guardian they said this.
And they named him after a Roman general. That's quite funny.
Yeah. So they're all like, red, the blood of angry men, black, the something of ages past. They're all like, yeah, let's burn it to the ground. Marius is friends with grown-up Eponine. So Eponine, kid of the Thénardiers, where Cosette was living. She's like in love with Marius, don't know why, he's as wet as a flannel. But she's in love with him and he's like, yeah, I love you as a friend. And she's like, oh no, but maybe in the New World Order, even though I'm poor, we could be together. And he's like, yeah, as a friend. And it's like, babe, just go with Enjolras, he's hotter anyway.
Oh, poor woman.
Poor woman. Right, so they're walking...
So the swan's dead by this point.
No, the swan is still alive.
This is like the longest living swan in history. Like,
so
this swan is like 25 years old at this point. This swan, this is literally the oldest water bird that has ever lived.
He's older than that because he spent 20 years in prison. Marius is walking through the street, the crowds part, and he sees Jean Valjean and grown-up Cosette. Blue hair are flowing, bonnet on fleek, and he's like, she's fit, I want to bang her. Well, get married to her, but want to bang her.
He just has to sign the paperwork first.
He's like, Eponine, do you know who that chick is? And I think Eponine is like, that looks like Cosette. I'm not sure if Eponine recognizes her, but anyway, Eponine is kind of well gel. And Eponine is like, yeah, I can totally set up a meeting between you two. They live in that like fancy house, like there. Like I can arrange you guys to meet up at night. And it's the dead of night. Marius is at the gate and then Cosette comes out and they sing A Heart Full of Love, which is like, vomit. And then that duet turns into a trio when Eponine is like, he loves her and I'm feeling like a third wheel and oh no, I can't have him.
Hey, third wheels can be useful.
Sad time.
Has she never heard of a tricycle?
And then it goes into On My Own, I believe, when she sings her own solo, being like, I pretend that we're together at night when I'm walking through the streets and I love him, but I only love him on my own because he doesn't love me. At which point it's like, girl, Enjolras is way hotter. Give up on Marius, he's a twat. I'm not quite sure what happens now. I think now is the bit, like, it's ramping up to the actual start of the rebellion, but I'm not really sure. In the film, it's like someone's died and there's a march and then it starts, because obviously in the film there isn't an interval. But in the musical, I can't remember if that's the same catalyst or how it gets into it. But basically everyone's singing. At some point, Jean Valjean is like, it's too dangerous, Cosette, I'm taking you out of the city. And she's like, oh, but I don't want to leave. And he's like, well, we have to. So this is in the bit where they're singing One Day More, and I think that's like on the eve of the battle, where they're like, tomorrow is the judgment day, tomorrow we'll discover what our God in heaven has in store, one more dawn, one more day, one day more. Fabulous harmonies, end of Act 1, I think.
Wait, all this is Act 1?
That's all Act 1. Told you.
Fucking
all of this
hell.
bullshit about swans. You sure you wanted to do that?
I thought it was the right thing to do.
No, it wasn't. No, it wasn't. If it's any consolation, I don't remember Act 2 as well, so this is going to be shorter.
All like the memes and stuff I've heard about Les Mis all seem to be very much front-loaded. Is the idea going like, if we keep them all for Act 1, then they're all a bit bored by Act 2, they're not going to ask for their money back.
Wow.
I've never seen this show. I'm not interested in I've never seen Phantom. I kind of want to see Phantom. I'm not interested in seeing this show. Maybe it's just my little English heart seeking vengeance for Agincourt, but I'm not interested, or Poitiers, I suppose. But I'm not interested in seeing this show.
Okay. So Act 2. The barricades have been built during the interval, so we've got some barricades. Banging barricades. There's fighting. Gavroche is there. Eponine is there. She's dressed up as a boy. Marius is obviously there. And Enjolras is there with his big red flag. At some point, Jean Valjean joins the guys at the barricade. I'm not sure how or why. I think maybe because he knows about Marius and he wants to check him out, or maybe he's just like, I'm getting my daughter out of Dodge and then going to see what's going down because these elitist scumbags need to be killed. I don't know. I don't know what's happening with Valjean. I don't know if he's still the mayor or not.
Wait, hang on, that's a good point. Like, it feels like the whole first half of the show was about him.
Yeah.
And climbing the social ladder.
He wasn't climbing the social ladder, he just wanted to make a better life for himself.
And he did. And he seemed to have done
Yeah, but then he got socially conscious because of Fontaine, I think.
He's a Liberal Democrat.
I think that's what's happened. I'm not sure.
So
anyway.
He's a Lib Dem then, basically.
Anyway, people start dying. So the first one to die is Gavroche. Eponine also gets shot because Marius is about to get shot and she sacrifices herself for him, and it's like, girl, you're an idiot, but whatever. And she sings A Little Fall of Rain, and he sings that to her as well, and he's really, really sad, and it's like, but you're not that sad, are you? Because you're still lusting after Cosette, but whatever. And then at some point, there's like a final assault on the barricade. I do not remember Act 2 that well. Right, I'm just gonna say things that I remember happening, they might not be in this order. So, at some point, Javert gets backstage, behind the barricade. And all of the guys are like, he's one of the police dudes, kill him. And Valjean is like, no, don't kill him. Oh, before this he's sung Stars. And he talks about how...
Oh, wasn't this a meme with Russell Crowe?
Oh yeah, when he's like, safe behind bars. Poor Russell Crowe. This style of singing was not his forte. In the song Stars, he's chatting about how he wants to find Jean Valjean because he's very much like, the law is the law. At some point, we discover he was actually born in a prison, so he's more complex than they think. He's kind of like, the thing that's got him through is this kind of, there's a righteousness to everything, and obviously Valjean is challenging that. And he's challenging it again when the guys are like, kill the law, dude, and Valjean is like, no, let him go. Oh, I think that happens after everyone dies. So that happens at some point. At another point, there's a final assault on the barricade and literally everyone dies, apart from Marius and Jean Valjean. They like escape into the sewers, and that's when Valjean sings Bring Him Home, when he's like, make sure that Marius survives for my daughter.
So the Swan and Julius Caesar's uncle survive somehow.
Yeah.
Cool.
At whatever point Javert is let go by the resistance or the rebels or the freedom fighters or whatever, he has an existential crisis where he's like, but he's meant to be evil, but he let me go, what the so he jumps off a bridge and kills himself. It's kind of like his brain like cannot compute. He's like a criminal, but he's also a good person who didn't do something really vindictive.
Right.
And his brain can't compute. So if we look at our death count, so we've got Fantine is dead. She died ages ago.
Yeah. Oh yeah, of course she was in this show.
Gavroche is dead. Eponine is dead. Enjolras is dead. The Ensemble are dead. Javert is dead. And then I don't know what happens. In the film, there's like a ball and the Thénardiers are there. Oh yeah, the Thénardiers are like in the sewers, like picking the pockets of all the dead people. And then at some point, Marius recovers and he goes back to the cafe where they were singing Red the Blood of Angry Men, and he sings Empty Chairs at Empty Tables, where he's like, we were all here and we were talking of revolution and now they're gone, and it's sad. And I think he gets his blessing, the blessing of the swan, to marry Cosette. I think they're married. And then Cosette gets word that the swan is dying. I love how I'm just calling him the swan now. Jean Valjean is dying.
Finally, this fucking immortal swan.
So they're like, we've got to go. Oh no, I think at some point they meet the Thénardiers because they're rich for some reason. I guess Marius was rich, I don't know. And
Wait,
the Thénardiers
got rich.
No. Cosette and Marius are rich.
Oh.
And so the Thénardiers are like, hey Cosette, you want to help us out? You know, we help look after you. And I hope she's like, fuck off. I don't actually know what she says. And maybe they hear from the Thénardiers that he's dying or something. And Marius is like, where is he? I don't know. There's a thing with the Thénardiers.
This whole thing is a little bit off the rails, doesn't it? It's like they wanted the barricade to be the finale of the show, and then they realised it would be a really short show. Well, not even a really short show. It still sounds long. But it's like, okay, so we end at the barricade. Yes.
But it's also all of this stuff that I'm describing now with the Thénardiers. I don't know if that was just added for the film or not.
Oh, okay, fair enough.
I can't, they've blurred in my memory because I've only seen the show once. Anyway, whatever happens, they go and find dying Jean Valjean. He's like, Cosette, is that you? And then Fantine comes out as a ghost and is like, come with me, something. And he's like, I'm ready, Fantine. And goes off into that good night. And then Cosette is crying and everyone's sad. And then you just hear a cappella, do you hear the people singing the song of angry men? It is the music of the people who, etc.
That's where that song comes from.
Yes. Everyone comes back from the dead. They don't actually come back, it's just the finale number, so everyone comes back on stage. And they're all like, yay! Do you hear the people sing? Revolution! Woo!
And if you're a student of history, this is the point where you remind everyone that they were then under effectively a military dictatorship, and then they became an empire, and then a kingdom, and then an empire again, and they didn't even glimpse democracy for about 100 years from the point that this show ends.
Wow, you really put a dampener on that, didn't you?
It's just what happened.
So yeah, and that's the show.
Cool.
What do you think?
How the fuck has this show lasted this long? Seriously.
Because it's cathartic.
Yeah, I know it's cathartic, but my wanking is cathartic as well. Don't see me making a 3-hour musical out of me jacking off in the bathroom, do you? Jesus, I need more wine.
And I'm still on my first glass because I'm being good.
Okay, there are some things that genuinely baffle me how they last as long in the West End as they do, and this is, now that I might want to see, I think I probably should see this show, decide for myself. But I don't get how this has lasted this long. This plot is completely fucking mental and all over the place. You set up your villain and your antagonist, and it both seems like they are going on an actual journey of growth, and then, oh, the antagonist dies, what a shame. Alright, okay, and...
The antagonist dies quite late in the show.
Yeah, but it feels very much like whatever relationship they're building up between the two of them kind of gets put to the wayside in the favour of My Fair Lady happening.
Hey, don't diss My Fair Lady.
No, I'm not. But I like My Fair Lady when it's called My Fair Lady. I don't like My Fair Lady when it's called Les Mis. What they do in the book might make a bit more sense, but by the sounds of it, it very much starts off like it's going to go down one plot point with one set of characters and you go, okay, that's fine. And then obviously we suddenly find ourselves dragging from this idea of the pursuit of happiness, or, you know, all of John Locke's ideas, into, oh, now we're getting involved in the revolution. And you go like, well, okay, so the revolution changed some ideas, But ultimately, the show ends at the beginning of another empire, and democracy is down, censorship is up, liberty and the rights of men and citizen don't really apply. It doesn't feel like you landed the show at the right point, is what I'm trying to make the point of.
But if that's where the book finishes.
Yeah, but if that's where the book finishes, a part of me is kind of going against the point we were trying to make here, that we can make the world a better place, that revolution does work, that people can stand up for what they believe in, that working together and collaborating is better for the good of all mankind, and it can achieve change. And if that's the case, then why did you end at a point where the diametric opposite of all those things happened?
I understand why you're looking at it from like the historical context in which it's written, because it is based on actual events that happened, like the July Revolution was a thing. However, I don't think the point of the musical is to give us a history lesson. I think the point of the musical is to show us that hope and positivity are worth it. And I think it's mainly through Jean Valjean, like he is able to die at peace and happy because he's able to overcome the circumstances from the beginning of the play, yes.
Whilst I agree with all of that, I would also like to point out that we never actually get to see how he gets there. So
he steals the chandelier stuff, so he's able to sell that and get rich to become the mayor and buy the factory. So at the end, when Fantine comes back, it's because he's redeemed himself by saving his daughter, because his daughter is safe and happy and married and blah. I mean, at the time, it was revolutionary. It was like one of the if you've seen my previous video about why musicals are worth the hype, I'll link it, but kind of in that video, I talk about how it seems so revolutionary because there's no dancing, there's loads of deaths, it's kind of not happy like, hey, tits and teeth at all. It was kind of a watershed moment for that.
Okay.
Especially in British theatre. When something moves you, depending on like your means and how it moves you, there are some things that move you and you're like, once is enough, but we've both seen Come From Away multiple times and we know that it's not enough. It's that thing, isn't it? Like the catharsis you feel that makes you want to come back. So I think that's why it's lasted.
I would just
so
like to
long.
say this for the record. Come From Away takes Les Mis up. Come From Away.
You haven't seen Les Mis, so you can't make that claim.
The way you're describing it, though.
Yeah, but I'm describing it a glass of wine down.
Okay, fine. I'm going to
For
make.
comedic effect.
I am going to. Okay, I will fall for this. If I feel, I will go and see Les Mis when the theatres reopen, because this is still there's still coronavirus everywhere out there at the moment. I make a promise to the internet and to Michaela. I will go and see Les Mis. When it reopens, or watch the film, whichever one's more convenient. And I am going to make the following statement. And if I feel differently about that statement after I've seen it, I will
leave a comment.
And I will also allow Michaela to take me to any show that she wants me to see. Come From Away in its one act, takes up Les Mis in both hands, and power bombs all three pretentious hours of it straight into the orchestra pit on top of the most snooty member of the string section.
And that's that on that. So,
Sorry.
It's okay. Can I have some more wine, please? Because I'm gonna need it for you explaining shit to me. So that was Les Mis. In not quite a nutshell, but drunkenly explained. The real show doesn't have swans in it, sorry. But I hope you enjoyed this. I'm not sure if I did. I don't know how I feel about that, but anyway.
You made one bad joke at the beginning and it haunted you for the entire thing.
I thought it would make it funny, and it did.
And it did!
But it also made it long. But I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please consider liking and subscribing. Would love to have you on the channel. Stay tuned for more theatre content from UK perspective. Put my wine down, and I will see you all in my next video. Bye, friends!
Goodbye.